All right, hello, and thank you for joining us for this Education Transformation 2020 presentation, Zooming Outside the Box, Students Remotely Publishing Literary Art Magazines. My name is Sydney Smith, and I'm an Educational Courseware Specialist here at Hawks Learning. Our speakers today are Professor Jamie Miranda and Professor Stephanie Gibson. Professor Gibson has taught English and integrated reading and writing courses at St. Philip's College and HBCU and HSI Community College for 16 years. She also taught ESL for Texas Education Agency for 14 years. She has a master's degree in English literature from UTSA and is currently pursuing a graduate certificate in teaching English as a second language for adults. Professor Gibson has served on numerous college committees dedicated to student engagement and success, such as Culture Fest, Tiger Paws, Student Services Fees, and Honors College. She enjoys every opportunity to work closely with colleagues and friends on team assignments and loves family time. Professor Miranda has taught English and integrated reading and writing for 13 years at St. Philip's College. She is a graduate of Our Lady of the Lake University with a master's in English with an emphasis in writing. She is a master teacher, master developmental education specialist, distance learning certified, and certified accessibility specialist from Texas DLA. Professor Miranda has served on various committees related to student engagement and success, such as Honors College, Student Engagement Grants, Distance Learning, Culture Fest, Tiger Paws, Safety and Accessibility, and much more. She enjoys spending time with family as well as collaborating with her closest colleagues. We are so excited to have you both with us today to share your experience and insight. Allison Klabus from Hawks is also joining us in the background of the webinar today. She is here to help answer questions throughout the webinar. We will do our best to get to as many questions as possible, so please enter those into the Q&A as we go, and we will address them at the end of the talk. The webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be sent to all attendees when the video is processed and ready for distribution. On that note, I will hand it over to you, professors.
Thank you so much, Sydney. Well, again, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today for this professional development opportunity. As Sydney said, we're going to be talking to you about zooming outside the box, how to work with students remotely to publish literary art magazines, which Jamie and I have found quite challenging in this new environment.
Yes, indeed. It has been a challenge, to say the least. So let's go ahead and get started. And first, let's go over our objectives for today. After this presentation, you'll be able to define Literary Art Magazine, describe the history of the birth of the magazine, discuss promoting and funding, explain student engagement grants, relate COVID-19 challenges, engage students remotely, and view the digital magazine.
Yes. So let's start with defining literary art magazine. Tiger Paws is a student publication that's composed of prose, poetry, art, and photography. All of that is created by our currently enrolled St. Philip's College students. Then we have the student editorial staff who reviews dozens of submissions. They select the works that are going to be published in the magazine, and then they help with creating the journal layout each fall and spring semester. Something that we're very clear about is that the selected works, they may not reflect the attitudes or opinions of St. Philip's College or the Department of Communications and Learning. And it's important to express that idea because, again, these students are giving us raw material, right, that they have designed and developed throughout their experiences in life.
That's right. A variety of voices and experiences, they bring that to the table. And so it's always interesting to see what is submitted each semester.
Yes, absolutely.
So as far as the history of the birth of the magazine, we started publication in spring of 2012. We were working in a developmental English lab at the time and thought it would be a good idea to try to promote literacy, encourage our students to write more. And the magazine consists of multilingual digital and print versions. We have had several prose and poetry pieces in Spanish that have been published in different editions. It features SPC student writing and artwork, as Stephanie said, in an effort to promote literacy and the arts at our college. And student submissions demonstrate their academic commitment, development of a genuine authorial voice, which is a difficult thing to achieve, especially for developmental students.
Mhm.
Promotion of digital literacy skills. Many of them come to the table without much experience with technology, so we help them with that as well. And raising cultural awareness in a vibrant, diverse community college setting. In the introduction, you may have heard that we work at a historically Black college, and it's also a Hispanic serving institution. So we have a very diverse um, uh, group of students. And this provides opportunities for students to participate as editorial staff, most of which they've never participated in something like that before, assist in planning the showcase event, which we'll discuss more later, and promote participation amongst their peers, which is important.
So it's a really great opportunity to teach these students other skills that are transferable out into the workforce. And then when they leave our little community college and go on to universities and other colleges to pursue higher degrees, they come with skill sets that are non-traditional in some cases. They work with publisher, they learn how to collaborate with each other, they learn how to become leaders amongst their peers, assisting in planning the showcase event. Boy, I wish I would have had that when I was going to college, but we learn as we go. So it provides a lot of opportunity. And the other thing that I wanted to point out, where Jamie spoke on that third bullet about promoting literacy in the arts, it's a really good opportunity for you to try to work with other departments and other divisions within your college. And so it didn't start off like that when we first published in spring of 2012. It was very small and we were kind of on our own, but we did get our department support. And as we grew, and as we became, more of a face on our campus, then it's become such a wonderful thing where we work with the music department. We work with music students to have guitar ensembles playing at the event where we showcase the publication. So it gives you a lot of opportunity to work cross-disciplinary.
And it's a good way for the students to see how we collaborate and model that for our students in their
Absolutely.
collaborative efforts.
Absolutely. So the promoting and the funding, we mentioned we were kind of small when we first started. I mean, obviously the first place that you need to turn to is the college media and getting the PR support. That's an easy first step. Another one is classroom announcements and promotion there. Again, we're English instructors, so for us and for our Spanish professors and our speech professors, it's a very good and easy opportunity to offer extra credit, in your education courses and the English courses for participation. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be published, because it goes through a process. And so as long as our students are putting themselves out there and taking that leap and just trying to be part of this environment, it doesn't hurt to throw a little bit of extra credit points towards them, give them some incentives. Getting the departmental colleague donations, we started there before we started working on other ways of funding the magazine. Asking for donation at the division meetings. So when you're out there with more of your colleagues beyond your department, there was no shame. We had the students in mind and we wanted them to be successful. And so, we asked. And then, of course, Jamie, with her writing expertise with grants and whatnot, then we worked on grant writing and getting the administrative support. And that led us into getting institute funds. And then what we feel makes us the most successful for our students were the grants and the scholarship money that we were able to acquire and be able to offer to our student editors, as well as getting some of our students published in a magazine. So really good
Yes,
opportunity.
it's been quite a journey. It started out as a service learning project. That's how we were able to get funding initially for the print version to actually have a print version.
Mhm.
And then there came the opportunity for us to apply for a grant program in St. Philip's, which we'll talk about more later. And we were fortunate enough to be given an award and have received funds through that avenue for several years, continuing.
Yes, that's
And
exciting.
this is
Talk about it.
just what
Talk
I
about
was talking about. Yes,
engagement grant. Yes, talk about it.
our student engagement grants. St. Philip's College has a program called Student Engagement Grants that provides scholarships to students who actively participate in rather challenging extracurricular activities. There are a number of different SEG programs. Tiger Paws is one of those programs and has been since the spring of 2013. We've been very fortunate to receive awards since that time through the grant process. SPC has a golf tournament that helps raise funds for the SEG projects. So that's something else that's promoted heavily. The administration often uses our Tiger Paws Journal to help secure funding, use it for fundraising to obtain those scholarship monies for all of the SEG programs. Currently, $1,000 is available in scholarship for full-time students and $500 for part-time students. Our editors have to fulfill quite a few responsibilities in order to be able to apply for the scholarships. All the obligations for the journal have to be fulfilled. They have a checklist that they have to go through, and it has to be initialed by one of us, that the faculty members working with the student editors. They have to complete their application, which includes an essay. They must have two letters of recommendation and have a GPA of at least 2.5. And to date, we are very proud to say we have awarded 49 scholarships.
Yeah.
We will be awarding more scholarships on December 2nd when we have our publication event. So we're very excited about that. And this academic year, we have been awarded $10,000 to bestow to our students, our student editors, and that is the maximum that any SEG project is awarded. So we are also very proud of that.
Yes, we are. It's come a long way. And so it's just important to understand that you just have to start somewhere. And you'll get it to grow like this as long as you find a good team to work with. Jamie and I have been very blessed and thankful to have found each other as a team. If you notice up here at the top of the screen to the right, that image that you see there, that's Mr. O'Casey, one of our newer English professors, came in and got hired full time and fit just like a glove. A poet. He's worked with editing before, and there he's talking with and explaining some of the rubrics for the poetry so that those editors would know how to go through and sort of critique the poems that were submitted, to help with the process of choosing what's going to go into the magazine. And then that bottom right image you see there, oh, our babies, Miss Miranda. We're so proud of the students and just the diversity of what we have there. Those are just some of our scholarship winners that we felt we could share with you guys today.
And it really runs the gamut, just like our college population does. We have international students, we have non-traditional students,
Mhm.
veterans, dual credit students.
Mhm.
We have early college high school students. We do have a high school located on the campus as well, and have had editors from that program.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And you know what? I'm glad you said that, Jamie, because something I want to point out too is we can give you a good example of one of our real life challenges that we're dealing with right now. She mentioned the dual credit and the high school students. We have wonderful students that come in as editors and help us. And right now our challenge is that, correct me if I'm wrong, the student engagement grant It's that one. It doesn't allow for us to award money to those students. So that's the next challenge that we're working on, trying to figure out how we can overcome that hurdle and provide scholarship opportunity and grant money to those students.
Yes.
Perhaps not right now, but for them to use in the future. I don't know. We're working it out.
Yes,
But
and
there's
that's
always
really
something.
new.
Yeah.
They didn't, the administration and this SEG program did not expect for the dual credit students or early college, high school students to participate in a project of this magnitude. So we're working on it.
Yes, we are. Always working on it. And speaking of challenges, here we are, right? COVID-19 challenges. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir. Any of you and all of you out there, if you're in this session, you know what the differences are. The quarantine, the isolation. Students are dealing with things that they've never had to deal with before. Hoarding of things like toilet paper, communication issues, the face-to-face switch over into the remote environment right after spring break 2020. We're still trying to work out those kinds of issues for our students and with our students. They're dealing with all their family members being at home just as we are, right? 10 minutes before the event, we had to spot check. Where are the family members? Where are the animals? Is everybody locked out? Nobody's going to come in here and mess with us. You know, these are things that our students are dealing with as well. Job insecurities. Jamie and I, again, we always talk about how grateful and how blessed we are to be working for Alamo Community Colleges. I'm a member of a social network group, Higher Ed, and I hear people from all over the United States talking about their situations as professors and instructors and staff members, full-time and part-time at colleges across the nation. And I just am thankful every day for the type of support that we have gotten at our district, as well as our students, right? Because the technology barriers, having to rely on cell phones, the lack of stable internet. As Jamie was talking on that last slide, I was frowning because my screen is glitching out, and I'm hoping y'all aren't seeing that happen. But here we are. We're grateful. Our district has provided hotspots, laptops. At the beginning, before they could hustle in the IT department to find these physical devices, they boosted the Wi-Fi on campus and boosted security in the parking lots so that our students could actually drive to campus and stay safely inside their vehicles and tap into the Wi-Fi so that they could do what they needed to do to finish out their courses and whatever other things they were trying to do. COVID-19 has brought illnesses and death very close to home for many of us. And that leads right into the psychological and mental instability that not only we are trying to deal with, but our students as well. And so that's something, again, that Jamie and I have been very cognizant of. We text with a group of colleagues daily to keep our mental stability so that we can at least try to project that for our students and help keep them together. And then, all of this being exacerbated by the social and political unrest, again, like something none of us have seen before, because I don't think any of us lived through the Civil War. So, here we are dealing with that. And then just to share with you at the bottom so that you could see that yellow band down there is something that was immediately posted on our Alamo Colleges and St. Philip's College websites to help guide our students and show them where to go and let them know that, we're here for you and we're doing what we can, just as we always have.
And we're so impressed with the students who are participating in Tiger Paws because they're not only having to deal with their classes remotely, many of them are also helping to educate their own children. So they're dealing with that challenge while taking classes and then taking on the extra responsibility of participating as an editor in Tiger Paws. So we're just amazed by what they have been doing. And as Stephanie mentioned earlier, the psychological issues that come with the isolation that many of us have experienced, it has become more difficult as the length of time we're having to do this has increased. We've noticed that this semester among the students in our classes. And so we do have to make sure that we keep lines of communication open with them and ensure that they know they can talk to us and reach out to us if they're experiencing any difficulty. And we have those same kinds of frank discussions with our editors, especially at the very beginning. We do explain to them the challenges that being an editor poses, and then the difficulties of working in the remote environment on top of that. And this is in addition, like I said, to their regular classes and their home life that they're dealing with, and jobs. Some of them have multiple jobs, not just one. And so it has been quite a challenge.
Good transition, Miss Miranda. Here's where we're talking about engaging with the students remotely.
Exactly. And so, of course, we've been using Zoom to communicate, to hold our editorial staff meetings. Normally, we have face-to-face meetings in a large room with computers. There's a really nice large table for collaborative activities. So we're having to replace all of that with this Zoom environment. And it poses its own challenges, as I'm sure all of you know. We do use the screen share feature, of course, to demonstrate different features in the Canvas course that we've created. We have housed a lot of the information for this program in a Canvas course. It makes it easier for students to be able to access that information at any time if they're wishing to try to, if they only have time at 2 a.m. to work on critiquing the submissions, then they can access it through Canvas. And we employed breakout rooms in Canvas for the editors to have discussions with each other about various aspects of the publication. So our three young ladies were in a breakout room to discuss cutoff scores, to determine which pieces would be included in the journal. They had to review 8 previous editions because this was a best of edition that we were publishing with them. And it was our first time to try to do this in the remote environment. But so they had 8 editions full of beautiful pieces of poetry, artwork, photography, prose, and had to read each of those and decide what they wanted to winnow down to be able to publish in this special edition.
Yes, absolutely. And then just to add to that, back to that second bullet, using the screen share, we use that tool as well to teach the students how to work through the publisher
Right,
kind of,
right.
the publisher tool. So we could model some of that for them. And then of course, Google Drive and Jamie showing them how to access the different files and folders where everything is housed for us to be able to collaboratively work together in this online environment. And then I promise, those 2 young ladies, those are 2 different young ladies. One is Alex and one is Alyssa. They did a terrible thing to us and almost wore the exact same thing the day that we needed these images. But I promise if you look closely, the flannels are a little different and they are wearing 2 different undershirts. One is Alyssa, one is Alex. These ladies had a great time working together. The other thing I wanted to share, the employing of the breakout rooms, something that we're learning this semester because we obviously have more editors to work with. So there was a day when we had an editor meeting and we had to work on the PowerPoint presentation for the event. We had to work on the layout of the magazine. And then we also had to work on helping the students with the scholarship applications. So what we did, because there are more of us, again, you saw Mr. O'Casey in one of those pictures, we broke out into we created breakout rooms so that there was one room designated to working on the PowerPoint, one designated to working on the layout, and then the primary room for the scholarship applications. And so Jamie stayed in that room. I joined the PowerPoint room. Mr. O'Casey joined the layout room, right? And so it's important, again, to have a good team of faculty and staff to help guide the students and work with them and never kind of leave them alone in this weird cyberspace matrix, universe that we're in now. And then just another thing to point out, Jamie mentioned this was a special summer edition where these ladies had to
Yeah.
look at a lot of the information. And I just want to let you know what led up to that again was the COVID business and the kind of cease all that happened during spring break, or excuse me, during the spring semester right after spring break. So those SEG grants that we were talking about, that money we were talking about, we didn't want to lose that for the students. So we had to make special arrangements and get a 100% commitment from these three ladies who were working with the other team of spring editors, get a 100% commitment from them so that we could process all the paperwork during that spring term and then have them actually work after the fact during the summer to create this. And so we had to do a real quick tap dance there. And we were just grateful that we had the experience under our belts that we had with having built the magazine since 2012. Okay.
Yes, because of COVID, we weren't able to publish our normal spring edition. And so that's why we decided to come up with this project and see how it was going to work remotely, because we knew we'd have to do the same thing in the fall semester, which is indeed what we're doing right now with a different group of editors. But we wanted to make sure they received their $1,000 scholarships. That's a good chunk of money to help cover tuition at the community college level.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so we did also mention utilizing the learning management system. Hopefully, those of you who are out there and at our session today have some sort of learning management system that you can use and work with your students. Ours obviously is the Concourse Canvas interface. So we kind of touched on this earlier. We basically treated it like a class, in this Concourse Canvas shell. So we created weekly modules to address the duties and the responsibilities for each of the weeks that the editors had to work. We linked issue editions for critiquing for these particular students, and we'll show you what issue is in a few moments here in our presentation. I mentioned Google Drive. Jamie, again, is very savvy and got really good at working with the Google Drive and keeping everything very organized for us. And so we have links to the Google Drive folders with those submissions. And then, of course, shared publisher files, which have become quite a little bit of a challenge. That's something we're still working through the kinks. Just yesterday, we ran into issues with that darn publisher and the student editors trying to share with us the work that they were doing on the layout and whatnot. So let's take a look really quickly at what that looks like and what that shell is. Jamie, can you see my Tiger Paws screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is kind of the home page that the students saw, right? And again, it says spring 2020 because we carried this over from the spring to work with those summer editors. And that's why you'll see here, the meeting was June 9th through Zoom. And then of course we had information from for us, the project directors, so they could easily get a hold of us. And then there you can see the rest of our wonderful team, our Tiger Paws committee members, faculty and staff folks that we work with. And then the modules that we developed for them. And again, this was, crash course for all of us working in Zoom, figuring out how to do all of this electronically and communicating with the students. So for that summer term, the easiest thing we found to do was to throw in a Zoom meeting link every week for them.
Right.
Put together the agenda. Of course, this is the first meeting, so we go over the application with them. We create an orientation PowerPoint that covers everything that has to be done for the term of the life of the Tiger Paws event that we're working on. There are additions for them to review, score sheets that we put together. Week 2, again, you see the meeting is set up there. We're still reviewing the additions, score sheets. Then they're putting in their selections. So that got created kind of like an assignment so that the students could actually submit things in here for us. And of course, none of this is graded material because we're using the tool differently. Week 3, this was a quick one, right, Miss Miranda?
Yes, it was. And once they have their selections, then they go through the process of pairing the pieces, how they want them to appear in the journal. So they would decide whether they want what photograph they might want to pair with a poem, or maybe they want to put two poems together. And so they go through that. They have to number the pieces and put them in the order that they'd like them to appear in the journal. They have to consider what type of pieces they want to open the journal with, and then how they want to close it. Those are very important considerations, and the flow of those pieces throughout the layout of the journal.
Yep. And again, through our guidance, we never tell them what to do. We give them suggestions. We explain the importance of something opening up. We explain the importance of flow and transition, and we explain the importance of how to close or wrap things up. But then we leave it completely up to them, completely up to them. So we're very proud of them and what they turn out for us towards the end. And so then here we are finalizing layout and whatnot there. Okay, let's go back into our presentation here. Jamie, can you see that slide again now?
Yes, and the picture on the left is of our database. We have all of the pieces that are submitted in a database in Google Drive that is linked in the Canvas course. The students then click on the pieces that are linked there, and then the piece comes up, they can read the written submissions, they can view the artwork, the photography, digital art. We have 7 genres that are included in the journal now. We started out with 4, so it's grown quite a bit. And then they enter in those colored columns on the right side of that image. They enter their scores when they do their critique. So each editor has a column and they enter their scores for each of the submissions. And there are dozens, dozens of submissions. That has grown exponentially as well.
Jamie, tell them the 7 genres.
We have fiction, nonfiction, poetry, literary analysis essays, photography, digital art, and fine art.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and we're working on trying to figure out, because St. Philip's College is really well known for their culinary arts program. Whoop, whoop. Let me tell you, we turn out some pastry chefs, some nice bakers, oh my goodness, cooks, everything. And not only that, I know Sydney had mentioned that both of us work on the Culture Fest committee. During the Culture Fest, when we get back to normal, you guys that are close to us, you've got to come to that event. During the week of Fiesta, we have a rib cook-off. Let me tell you. So we know how to eat down here. Come visit with us. And so what we're trying to work on to kind of expand, this is another thing that's on the back burner for us. We want to try to integrate them somehow, maybe like with recipes. I don't know, we kind of talked about that. And then we also want to try to incorporate our music department more. So maybe eventually get songwriting or music writing. We just have so many ideas. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Did you want to talk a little bit about the publisher file? Do we need to?
Sure. This is an example of a layout file in Publisher. Publisher is what we ended up using in the very beginning of the journal because that's the only type of software we had available to us. And it turns out that it has worked fairly well for us for this particular application. There's not a big learning curve for the students to be able to learn how to use it. Most of them, when they come in as editors, have never used it before. So we have to help teach them how to use that. And very often we have student editors that participate for more than one semester. So the more experienced editors actually are helping mentor the new ones and teaching them how to add the pieces into the layout file, the publisher file. And it shows them the little thumbnails of the pages on the left-hand side. And they have to decide if they want some kind of border on the page, if they want where they want the page numbers located, the font, everything. They decide all of that.
That's
So
right.
Publisher is a good tool for us to use, at least at this point.
Mhm.
Alamo Colleges also offers our students a free Microsoft 365 account, which includes publisher. So they are able to access the files. And in our remote environment, as Stephanie was saying earlier, it's been a challenge to try to have them work in publisher because there is not a good way for them, there's no way for them to work on it collaboratively. We have tried everything. So if any of you out there know of a way that they can work on the publisher file collaboratively, that would be awesome. But what we've done is create a folder in the Google Drive that is shared with all of them. The layout file is uploaded into that folder. So the first editor will download it to his or her computer. They can work on several pages. We give them about 15-20 minutes to work on it. Then they upload it back into the folder and the next student downloads it and works on it. So that's how we've been working with this in the remote environment.
Yes.
Normally we will do that in a classroom with a computer. So they'll just take turns at the computer that has the publisher file open on it.
Jamie, we have a good question about the genres. We're being asked if we accept or publish scripts, plays, or screenplays. And if we do, how do we deal with the special format? Do you want to address that? I mean, we haven't gotten any, but
question. That's something else that we're looking at for the future because we do have a vibrant fine arts program at St. Philip's College as well. There are more students now that are involved in drama. There's a drama occurring this weekend, actually, that students are participating in. And so we do want to encourage that and help grow that program. It would have to be a fairly short manuscript. The page numbers are limited. We're always trying to seek more funding so that we can expand the edition, and they have grown significantly since the beginning. I think the first edition had maybe
I'm going to
45,
tell you
50
right now,
pages.
43 pages. The first
And
had 43.
yes, and now they're over 100 pages, so it has expanded quite a
Yay.
bit.
Yes,
And we're hoping to continue that. I think it's a great idea. We would love to be able to publish that.
absolutely. All right, so that's a good segue into viewing the magazine. The publication event we've been kind of talking about at the end of each semester, the published students are given an opportunity to present or display their work, and the editors can speak about their experiences. This is a wonderful event. Jamie and mine are favorite.
It's so special. We want it to be special for the students because most of them have never experienced anything close to this before. To be published, number one, have them recognized for their voice, for their ideas. And we want them to be able to invite their families, which they do. The whole family comes. And we distribute print copies of the journal at the event. It's our publication event. This semester, we'll have a virtual version of that, which will be our first virtual one. And so we're learning how to deal with the challenges of that. It will be a Zoom webinar, much like this one. So we're working on setting that up right now, actually. And we also, in addition to the print version, we do have a digital version that we publish as well. We use Issue, which is a fantastic tool to publish a magazine or journal because, as you'll see shortly, it really looks like a magazine where you can flip the pages and so forth. So we'll show you that shortly. But if you take a look at the pictures that we have on this slide, the top picture was from our very first publication event back in spring of 2012. It was a very small room. Our coworkers brought refreshments for everybody to share because we had no budget for anything but publishing that 43-page edition. And the students displayed their artwork. They have the opportunity to read their work or discuss their artwork or editorial experience, and we still do that today. But then the next picture We moved to a larger venue. This is the Heritage Room on our campus, which is quite lovely. And the scale, the formality of the event was increased just a little bit there. And at the end of the time when we met in that facility, in that location, we started having a small catering budget, which was quite nice. And then the last two pictures, we moved into the Bowden Alumni Center,
Because we
which
outgrew
is,
the room, remember? We
yes,
outgrew the heritage. Tell them
yes,
about
we
that.
did.
Tell them about all the audience.
It has grown so much because since the magazine has increased in size, we have more students that are being published. So they bring more of their family members, their instructors come, the administration comes, our president, Dr. Adina Lawston, she comes and speaks at the event, addresses the students, tells them how proud she is of them, that they need to take advantage of this opportunity to make sure they include it on their resumes that
Oh,
they've
yeah.
been published or worked as an editor. And so we now are in the largest room on campus, this Bowden Alumni Center, which is in the President's Building.
It's our special party place.
Yes, yes, it is. And it's been standing room only the last couple of events.
Even in this room.
Had to bring in more chairs and tables. It's just been amazing. And we want the families to come and be able to see their students up there and sharing their work and developing that authority, that authorial voice as well. And
Absolutely.
sharing their experiences. It's just fantastic. It's a tearjerker event some days because we're so attached to our
Some
students.
days.
Every time, yes, every
Yeah.
time, you're right.
And remember what Jamie said about that first picture where all of our colleagues and friends brought stuff to share like a potluck? And then we got this wonderful opportunity for catering. If you take a look at that bottom picture in the back left corner, you can see our guitar ensemble. Those are our St. Philip's College music students, right? Dr. David Torres, we work with him and he puts together a beautiful ensemble so that they can play music as the guests are coming in at the beginning of the event. And Dr. Cunningham, and there's one of our wonderful dual credit high school editors there that we couldn't give award money to, and he's still
So frustrating.
worked so hard. And catering. So it's really grown. Let's go ahead and take a look. It's 11:43. Let's take a look at the magazine. Let me go in there. Oh, and another thing I wanted to mention, Jamie mentioned that we are, trying to figure out how to do this now. Oops, sorry, not that one yet. And so something we have to work on as a challenge this semester is finding funds so that we can send by mail a hard copy of this edition to the published students and their families so that they can get at least one hard copy, at least until we can get back to campus together. So what we're going to do is take advantage of issue. Jamie, did you want to?
Fortunately, the administration is allowing us to still produce the print versions, even in our current remote environment, so that they can be distributed at a later date.
Oh, and we forgot to mention, yes, because she's able to use it as selling tools for the college as well. It works really well. She takes it out there into just the different administrative arenas that she goes to. So we always have to make special copies just for our president of the college to be able to take. So here's the website of issues now. How many is it now?
50. Yeah, the president.
That's right. So as Jamie mentioned to you, issue, it's a free online tool. And so that's why you're going to see all the busyness around it, all of the, advertisements and whatnot. But again, that's not too important for us. We're fine with that because you can go into full screen mode like this. Jamie, can you see that okay?
Now it's full screen, yes.
Okay. All right. And so here's our best of edition. This is our cover. And together we decided that it would be good to showcase all of the previous covers for the editions that were in here. So that's what you're looking at there, all the different artwork pieces that were showcased on the previous 8 editions that were considered for the best of.
And we're on our 17th edition this semester.
Hey. So of course, this one is longer, intro page that's labeling all of the different covers along with all of the artists and the mediums that were presented for those covers. Our acknowledgements, we again, ladies and gentlemen, we're grateful and we're blessed that we get a lot of support from our administration. All of these people, Dr. Adina Williams Lawson, VP Dawson, Dean Johnson, our interim chair, Hester, I mean, they've all been just so supportive. And Jamie, I want to take a moment to address one of the questions, and this is going to be for you. One of the questions from the folks that are here with us today is question for cost. They specifically asked for 43 pages, but I don't think you have that in memory. But James, the SPC staff at the UPS store, made me think of that question I saw earlier. Do you want to touch on that right quick about
Sure.
cost for us?
Sure. That also, of course, has increased as the journal has grown. I can tell you that currently our budget is $3,500 per academic year. So we split that up per fall and spring semester. It is published. I saw another question about whether this is published just once a year. We publish it twice. So each fall and spring, we have a new edition of the journal. And the editorial staff meetings take place. This whole thing is put together in about 8 weeks, sometimes less than that. The current edition that you're looking at right now was put together by our 3 summer editors in 4.5 weeks. So
Yes,
it
four
was
and a half.
very quick, very fast.
And you can, yes,
But yes, the
usually,
funding now, it's $1,750 per semester for about 250 copies, full color editions.
yeah, they look just like what we're showing you here in issue. So let's take a look at it more. Let's go into the magazine. If my, there it goes.
And there are several features in issue. You can either use the arrows to turn the pages, or down at the bottom, there's an area where you can slide to advance several pages. There's our table of contents, all the different students that are represented. We have to advertise for the next one. We put that information in there.
Yes, we do. And so again, talking to the students about how to open up the magazine, right? Those 3 ladies that worked on this was their choice, right? They chose the tiger, dedicated to St. Philip's Tigers. It was a poem written by, Dorothy.
Oh, I miss her.
And something that we didn't even think to put in this presentation, but we need to talk about is the fact that, like Jamie said, when this first started, it was in the developmental lab environment. And we can tell you, there are numerous students that come to us very shy, very quiet, very much in their shell. And then within semesters, we see them become presidents for the student college organizations. We see them be speakers at the graduation ceremonies. We have seen our Tiger Paws editor students being showcased in San Antonio News articles because of how far they've gone, and just the opportunity that this gives to the students. And I thought about that because Dorothy, she works on campus now, professionally works on campus. I'm not talking work study position, right? I'm talking a career. And so it's a wonderful opportunity. Let's look a little bit.
Published in other journals. They've been presidential scholars for St. Philip's,
right?
Part of the homecoming court, you name it. They just really have gained the confidence in participating in the journal, either as a submitter or as an editor or both. So you can see some of the lovely pieces that our students have produced at St. Philip's College.
Trying to get to some of the digital and and other types of art. I know the readings are almost impossible to read on.
Oh, I know, it's difficult in this type of situation.
Oh no, what did I do, Miss Miranda?
Oh, it just increased the size of it. Let's go ahead and exit the full screen perhaps and continue with, oh no, this is the last slide just about, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am, we're good.
Okay. We
Oh
saved the
no,
best for last.
we sure did.
Oh,
So,
I
and
love
I'm,
these.
and look at how this works out, ladies and gentlemen. These students who's at Julian, they don't even know each other. And these were just random submissions, right? And then just the way it all kind of comes together and pulls itself together. It's an amazing opportunity.
So the students are the ones that make those pairings and decide how they're going to be placed.
That's right.
They
That's right. I
really
know
develop a good feel for how to do that after a while.
I know what you were thinking about, Miss Miranda, getting to our Q&A because we have these things to showcase and talk about really quickly. We're about 9 minutes left. So just really quickly, this has become the official James the Tiger mascot for us. And this was actually submitted and done by one of our students as digital art. And here you can just see some of the different students emotional. This is another one of our high school babies. We got to see her graduate from high school, you know, and more scholarship winners over here. Hannah has been published in other publications since being with us. Here's the artist who did the digital artwork for us. Yes, and that's it. Questions? Sydney, you want to help us out?
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you both so much just for that wonderful presentation. I know that everyone here can just hear and see your passion for Tiger Paws and for each and every one of these students. So thank you so much. And I do think that we kind of, or you guys did a great job answering a ton of questions we did have throughout. But if anyone has any additional questions, go ahead and enter those into the Q&A so we can get to those. A lot of people just made comments saying, you know, this is so wonderful and it really is what you all are doing. One instructor did ask, how do you use issue? What format does it have to be to use issue?
It's actually very easy to upload something into issue. It has to be a single page PDF, that's all. So we convert the publisher layout file into a PDF and you have to change the settings so that it's single page. And then you just upload it into issue and make sure that it looks the way you want it to look and click publish and there it is. Very simple.
And I
Perfect.
just
That's
want to say
great.
thank you to the person who mentioned the Lucid Press. Jamie, we have a new online software that we're going to look at later today. So clear your
That's great.
calendar. Clear your
Thank you.
calendar. I know I'm excited. Thank you guys. Thank you, whoever that was.
We did have a couple comments saying instead of publisher, we use an online software publisher. So they all log on to at the same time and it's Lucid Press. So that is the one to look into. He said that it works great for them. And then also another instructor said that in Office 365, they have used Microsoft SharePoint for sharing Word documents as well. But he hasn't tried or they haven't tried sharing Publisher. So if that could be possible, that would be great. We also do have a couple more questions. What kind of response have you seen from other students at the school outside of the ones working a part of the publishing team or editing or being, you know, the students actually working on the magazine?
Stephanie, do you want to address that?
What kind of response?
Mhm. Like, are there students at the school that, you know, are really interested in seeing the magazine and reading it and being a part of
Oh,
it outside of, you know, the ones editing it themselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When they come to the event, they try to hoard all the magazines. They want like 5, 6, 7
they
copies.
do.
Oh, Miss G, can I take one for my so-and-so? Oh, Miss G, can I? Yes, they love the magazine. And then some of our instructors, like Dr. Pasty, she will take the magazine and she'll make sure that she has enough copies for her class. And then she does writing assignments that are based off of the pieces that are in the magazines. We've given extra credit opportunities for students to do poetry explication work with the published poems that are in the magazine.
I use it in my class all
So
the time. Yeah, I use the prose essays, the nonfiction essays, very often when I'm teaching a narrative essay, a personal narrative. When we have new student convocation every semester, we have a table set up there and the students just flock to the table. They're so interested in seeing what's going on, and seeing the hard copies really is impressive. They love being able to hold it and feel it, touch it, and see those pieces in person. There's a tremendous response.
And it's true because they'll pass up that student convocation that Jamie's mentioning, they'll pass up the food and the candy tables to come to our table because it's so colorful. And then they want to take our magazines. And sometimes they want to take the last copy too. And they're brand new. They haven't even been there. They haven't even really heard what it's all about. So we get really good responses, really good responses. And they come from everywhere because even if they feel that they can't be a writer, they'll come with their pictures that they take on their cell phones of their family members or things that are important to them, places that they've gone and things that they've seen, that are special to them. So yeah, we get a lot of engagement on all sides of it.
Absolutely. Great
Wonderful.
question.
Yeah, that's great. Also, I know that, this has just grown significantly since the very beginning, just from those 43 pages to now over 100. Have you seen an increased interest this semester in working with the magazine due to it being transitioned to working on Zoom and students not having to physically come to campus to be a part of it?
No,
Mhm.
I think, at least for me, Jamie, correct me if you feel that I'm wrong on this one. I felt like it was about the same. We had about the same number of applicants, perhaps maybe even a couple less, because I feel that students as well as faculty staff were still trying to maneuver through the online environment. And so, I mean, I think we felt a little bit of a drop, but not too much. I can't say that it was increased though. Jamie, do you feel any differently about that?
I would agree with you. I think we've had the same number that actually applied,
Yeah,
but
we did.
I think there were probably 20 or so that applied, but they don't all end up participating when we start having the meeting. So then we had, how many did we have? 8 that have completed everything this semester.
No, yes. Now
I
we
believe we have 8.
7 No, 8. You're right,
I
8.
think 8.
And so, something that is something to touch on really quickly. We mentioned those COVID-19 issues. And actually, it's the opposite. Whereas you would kind of think that the ease of getting into the online environment would make it simpler for them to participate, it has not. Because of all of those other challenges, it has made it more difficult. As a matter of fact, I had a sophomore level student in a Brit Lit class who was an amazing editor, and he couldn't follow through because of all of the challenges and everything. So we're almost, if Jamie and I can even imagine it, prouder, if I dare
Yeah,
say that, of
yeah,
this group so far and what they're trying to accomplish in the remote environment. It is not
absolutely.
easier. They loved coming to campus and coming to the Tiger Paws room because there was food and music and fun and
Oh, it was
everybody was
lots of
there.
fun. Yes.
We can't
And
DoorDash them all. We don't make enough to DoorDash them all.
and it's been a challenge to try to keep that same level of enthusiasm going during the Zoom meetings, and
Mhm.
trying to make sure that it's fun, that they're engaged. And so that has been a challenge as well. But it has worked out. They've loved participating. They all have had a wonderful time and developed friendships as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much. And it seems like we are just getting right to the end of the presentation. Thank you, professors, very much. And thank you all for who attended today. If you do have any questions, please direct those to us at marketing@hawkslearning.com. And we'll also be emailing you a link to view this webinar on demand. Um, and then I hope everyone just has a great rest of the day. And we did have a last minute question asking if it will be recorded. And yes, it is recorded. We will be sending that out. But I hope everyone has a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody. Take care
everyone.
out there and stay safe.
That's right. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Mhm.